Hi everyone, I am Aziz and I welcome you to another video in this series where we discuss output-based JavaScript interview questions. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so let's start with the first question. So over here we have a person object and here we have say hi function. In this function we are returning this.name and then the value of age. And over here we are logging two values in the console. In the first console log we are using the call method on the say hi function, and in the second console log we are calling bind method on the say hi function. So you have to tell me what would be the output of this code snippet. Okay, so let me run this code snippet for you to see the output, and then we will discuss why we get this output. Okay, so here you can see that the output of first console log is John is 21 and the output of second console log is function bound say hi. So why we are getting this output? Let's investigate. So in order to understand why we are getting this output, we have to understand how call and bind method works. So what call function actually does? So when we call the call function on say hi function, the call function does two things. It's gonna call the given function. In this case the given function is say hi, and the second thing is it gonna set the value of this function. I mean to say it's gonna set the value of this keyword of say hi function, and in this case the value of this is the person. So which is why the value of this is a function, which is why when we access the name on function it's going to give us John, and then we are passing 21 in the say hi function, which is why in total we are getting John is 21. Great. But this is not the case with the bind function. As the call function executes the say hi function, bind function doesn't. So instead of calling the say hi function, the bind function is going to give us the function in return, and that function is the hard bound function. Now what does it mean by hard bound function? That function is hard bounded to a value of this, and in this case the value of this is the person. So when we call the bind method on say hi function, it's gonna return a function on which the value of this is bounded to person object, which is why when we print say hi.bind we are getting this output. So in order to call that function we have to again use this process in order to call that function. Then we will receive the another output. You can see that over here that in case of call we do not have to explicitly call the function because call directly call the given function, but in case of bind it gives us a function and we have to explicitly call that function. Okay, amazing. So let's move to next question. Over here we have to identify which of this statement is the false statement. So let's see one by one. So 0 is the false statement in JavaScript. What about new number? So this statement is going to give us the new instance of the number function. That is not the false value in JavaScript. What about this? You can see that this is an empty string. So in JavaScript all empty strings are false value. Now here this is also a string, but there is one space, so this is not a false value. Over here we have a boolean, so here we are creating a new instance of boolean function. Again it's going to be the object, which is why it is not a false value. And what about undefined? Yeah, undefined is always the false value. So let me show you 8 false values in JavaScript. So undefined is the false value, null, not a number, false, empty string, positive 0, negative 0, and the big int 0. So all of these values are false values in JavaScript. Excellent. So let's move to next question. So over here we are logging type of 1. Now this is pretty simple, you can easily guess the output. So what it does, you can see that 1 is the numeric type. Okay, so when we execute a type of on 1, it's going to give us the number as the output, and which is of type string. And then when we call type of on string, it's going to give us a string, as simple as that. So let me call this example for you, and you can see that we are getting string over here. Okay, so let me explain once again what is happening here. So when you call type of on 1, it will give us string like this, and then when you call type of on string, it will give us string. As simple as that. Great. So let's move to another question. Over here we have arrays of number. We are having 1, 2, 3 in this array, and then we are adding one more value at the 10th position. Now this is a pretty interesting question. Let's guess the output of this code. Okay, so let me run the code for you. So you can see that we are getting 1, 2, 3 and then 7 empty items, and then we are getting 11th at the 11th position, sorry 10th position. Why is it so? First of all, the array indexes are started from 0. So first 3 elements are going to be 1, 2, 3, that is fine. Then after third element, as we are adding the new element at the 10th position, we have 7 empty slots. So which is why we are getting 7 empty items. So when we do like this to add any new element at any specific location, if that specific location is very far from the current locations, then so it will create the empty slots in the array. So here at position 0 we have 1, at position 1 we have 2, at position 2 we have 3, and then we have 7 empty items over here. Great. Now let's see the last question of this video. So over here we have ify. Ify is nothing but immediately invocable function expression. So when we run this code, the function will execute, and this is a arrow function. Great. In this arrow function, we are declaring two variables x and y, and then we are using try and catch, and then we are again logging the value of x and y. So what happens? Let's see. So when we execute this code, this function is going to be executed, okay, and then inside the try block we are throwing the new error. So when we throw new error, we are going to catch that error in the catch block. So here the x is nothing but the instance of error function, okay, and then we are assigning 1 to this x, and then we are assigning 2 to y, and then we are logging value of x, and in the last we are logging the value of x and y. Now let's predict the output of these code snippet. Okay, so let me run this program, and you can see that we are getting 1 undefined and 2. Now let's understand the reason behind this output. So if you can carefully observe here, we have declared x and y over here. Now this x is not the same x as this x. This x is a block scoped inside the catch block, okay, and right now this x is an instance of error function, but we are overriding the value, so we are assigning 1 to it. So when we do console.log, it's going to take the value of this x and print 1 in the console. Amazing. But remember, this x is still uninitialized, okay, and the next step is we are assigning 2 to y, so which means we have assigned 2 to this y variable. Now after the catch block, when we log console.log x, then the value of x is still undefined, which is why we are getting undefined over here, okay. Remember, this x is different than this x. This x is a block scoped x which has the initial value of the instance of error. Then we are replacing the value of error with 1 and logging the value of x in the console. Now when we log the y in the console, as we have assigned 2 to y, it's going to print 2 in the console, okay. So which is why we are getting 1, which is the value of x, then undefined, which is the value of x of the outer scope, okay, and then the value of y, which is equal to true. Amazing. So guys, this is it for this video. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.